There's a lot of superstitions and legends that come out of the Appalachian area. Now, the whole term, the hills have eyes, is because they believe in the Appalachia, something is always watching you. And this is where that term comes from. Now, what I found with walkers is that they aren't specific to just the Southwest. They are found all over. We've heard reports in Ohio, Wisconsin, Minnesota, California, the Pacific Northwest, even in places like Australia, South America, and China. Now, they are given different names, but they all fit the same description. In fact, the whole whistling in the woods, hearing your name being called, that is very similar to what we know as a walker. Now, walkers, the creepy thing is they can appear as anyone and anything. They could even be a dog, a cat, a bird, a bug, right? And their whole purpose is to try and trick you and lure you into the woods. Now, some of the stories that I've heard of walkers are very terrifying, especially in the Appalachian region. Now, this was a story that came out of Kentucky. There was this young man who was driving down the highway one night, and he happened to be going through this part where it was just very rural. It cut through a windy road going through the mountains. And he said as he was driving, it was like a very cold, snowy night. And as he goes down this road, he sees what looks like a young child standing in the road. So he slams on his brakes, he gets out of his vehicle, and he sees this young boy with his face covered, and he is crying like he's scared, and lost. He notices this young boy did not have any shoes on. So he runs over to him and is like, hey, let's get you some help. Are you all right? How did you get out here? Where's your parents? And he said this young boy didn't say anything. He just kept crying. So he's like, come on, come into the car. And he said as he reached to put his hand around his shoulder, this boy took his hands down. He turned and he lunged at him and tried to bite his hand. And he said when he looked at his face, this boy had teeth like a wolf, eyes like a wolf, but features of a human. And he said this boy then turned, took off on all fours into the woods. And when he looked down at the footprints this boy had left behind, they were very dog-like. This next story, which comes out of the Washington area, there was this young boy who one day was out in the woods hunting squirrels. And he said he happened to be kind of out where there was sort of like a clearing. And as he walked out into the clearing, he said that's when he started to hear whistling. And he couldn't figure out where it was coming from. And then he hears something call his name in this very creepy voice. And this must have happened 3 or 4 times. He gets scared, he takes off running, and he goes back home. Well, later that night, he is asleep in his bedroom. When he wakes up to the sound of a thunderstorm, it is lightning and thundering, and there's heavy rain coming down. But he hears this specific sound, a tapping sound, like something is tapping on the glass of the window. And so he gets up out of his bed, he goes over to his window, and he looks out. All he sees is just rain and this lightning storm. So he goes and he lays back down in his bed, and he said he kept hearing that tapping sound. So he said that's when he turned and he looked back over to his window, and he said standing there was a very tall, skinny man with the body of a human and the face of a wolf. And he said he was just staring in his window, sort of tapping the window. And he screams. His dad comes running in the room. His dad looks outside, doesn't find anything except for these footprints that looked very dog-like.